Meanwhile, in the Middle East, a cargo ship off the coast of Qatar erupting in flames after a drone strike, putting the fragile ceasefire to the test. This as Iran has reportedly responded to the latest U.S. peace proposal. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst has more from Tel Aviv. Hello, Trey.
Mike, good afternoon. Iran has responded to the U.S. proposal. According to state media, the key issue of the country's nuclear program was not discussed, according to outlets that said the Iranian delegation gave that response to the Pakistanis. Now, this does come after another attack occurred this morning against a cargo ship off the coast of Qatar. An unknown projectile hit the vessel 23 nautical miles northeast of Doha, according to the UK Maritime Agency. The explosion did cause a small fire, but it is under control, according to reports. That incident highlights the latest in a series of events in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz that show Iran is testing the fragile ceasefire.
From our perspective, a naval blockade is considered a military act, and a military act receives a military response. Let them understand this. From now on, they should assign several additional escorts to their destroyers so that if one of them starts sinking, they can at least rescue and evacuate their naval forces.
While the region waits to see how Iran will respond in what capacity to that U.S. proposal to end the war, President Trump shared a series of AI images overnight depicting Iran's Navy at the bottom of the sea. President Trump was asked over the weekend about the expected Iranian response, saying this.
Do you think they're slow rolling it? Do you think they're intentionally slow rolling the process?
We'll find out soon enough.
We're also tracking developments out of Gaza, where Hamas has already passed a deadline where they were supposed to lay down their arms. An advisor to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on the issue to Fox News earlier today.
Our estimation is there are many, many tens of thousands of AK-47s still in Gaza. And AK-47 is not light weapons. Those are the weapons of choice for how you murder a population. That's what murdered our population. That's what keeps their population under thumb. And so we'll need to verify all of this.
The bottom line here, Iranian proxies remain active, and the Iranian regime is still attacking Gulf countries. Both the UAE and Kuwait earlier today reported Iranian drones over their skies. Mike?
Trey Yingst live in Tel Aviv. Trey, many thanks. Joining us now, Lisa Daftari, editor-in-chief of the Foreign Desk. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to start with some sound from U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, and I will get you to react to it.
That's up to President Trump as commander-in-chief to determine what constitutes a violation, when to go back to military action, or when to continue to give diplomacy a chance. And when the mediators, in this case Pakistan, ask us, head of state to head of state, to give this negotiation another chance before we go back to bombing Iran, then I think that's completely an appropriate choice for President Trump to make.
Lisa, what's your read on where we are in this process?
Look, when I hear the regime, the rhetoric that's coming out of them right now, we know that they're very much cornered. What they've done is they're holding Hormuz hostage. They have moved the arena of war to Hormuz, and now they want concessions. But what they have to understand is that Donald Trump knows that this is extortion. It's not diplomacy. What they're hoping for is to play out the clock. We're up against the World Cup. We're up against midterms. We're up against the domestic population here not being in favor of another long war. So what they're hoping is that they're going to get what they got in previous administrations, which is a weak deal that gives them cash. It takes the pressure off economically and, of course, militarily. Peace through strength, yes, but not at any price, not at the price of a bad deal, and Donald Trump knows that.
The regime is still talking tough, saying negotiations do not mean surrender, and talking about defending national interests and the rights of the Iranian people. Is that the kind of tough talk you expect from them?
Absolutely. And we have to remember something. For them, they just have to hold on. They just have to endure. Any survival is victory to them, and that's why you're hearing the narrative that you're hearing. They are masterful at narrative warfare, whether it's at home in Iran, whether it's in the region, or it's here on our soil, where they have launched narrative wars for decades in all of our institutions, with our politicians, in our universities, etc. So yes, this is exactly what we know that they're up against. But at the same time, inflation north of 180% in Iran. You're seeing 80% of their exports have been curtailed. 500 million loss every day. Their oil exports halted. So we know that they're up against a very vulnerable situation. But what do? More of this chest thumping, hoping that Donald Trump will be the first to blink. This is the opportune moment for the United States to employ the strategy that we have in the first Trump administration and now, and that's maximum pressure. Economically, militarily, they know that finger is on the trigger. We can go back to kinetic warfare at any moment, and they should know that. And lastly, we should start introducing maximum support for the Iranian people. This is the time to have a forward-facing strategy that brings the Iranian people into the last stanza of this so that they can help us collapse this regime.
Lisa, I want to show you and our audience a headline from the Wall Street Journal. It says Iran's supreme leader is MIA just when negotiators need him most. Mojtaba Khamenei hasn't appeared publicly since U.S. Iranian officials say he was severely injured in an airstrike over 2 months ago. Do they need his sign-off if he is physically capable in order to get an agreement?
No, they don't. This is what people need to understand. This is a system. The regime is a system. It does not revolve around one person like Venezuela did. So his existence or non-existence is, again, more of that narrative warfare, more of that playing out the clock, wasting time, passing the baton, pretending good cop, bad cop. We have moderates within the regime. We have hardliners within the regime. They are all hardliners, and they all are working under the same ideology, an ideology that has helped them stay in power for 47 years, and they're hoping that ideology will help them continue. And that ideology is what has suffocated the Iranian people, that killed 30 to 50,000 of them in January, that has continued to pour money into deadly proxies around the world, being the #1 state sponsor of terror. So the ideology has to stop. We are at war with that ideology, not with one individual. And we have to understand this going forward. We have to treat this like we did the Cold War. We need to rid the world of this ideology.
Lisa Daftari, thank you for your analysis today, and a happy Mother's Day to you.
Yes. Thank you to all the moms. Thank you so much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.